Hello there, my name is Richard from Silent Peak and a very warm welcome to this Lightroom tutorial in which I will show you how to take an image like this and make it look like this. Now this particular tutorial is a framework, as in it is 7 steps that I take to edit 90% of my images. Now if for some reason you are watching this trial without Lightroom, you can download your free Lightroom trial using the link in the description below, and also in the description is a link to download the very image that I am working on today. So here we go. Right then, so here is our image of a kaka taken at Orokonui Sanctuary in New Zealand, a place well worth visiting if you just happen to be in the area. So the first thing we're going to do is click on this icon here to crop our image. Now we can see here we've got a little bit of branch appearing here, and the bird looks sort of clumsily centered, a little bit too perfect. So what I'm going to do is just use these anchor points, and we're just going to make the whole composition a little bit more tighter, a little less centered, and a bit more focused on the bird. So with our composition complete, no straightening is required. We can move to step 2, which is white balance. So step 2 is via this edit tab here, or you can hit the E key, and we're going to go down to color, and we're going to use this sampler dropping tool. And we're going to go over to our bird, find a sort of grey, sort of neutral area, and click on it, and that should set our white balance. Now, white balance is pretty accurate as it is. If you do click on something that isn't neutral, you're going to get a pretty wild result. You can make corrections or improvements just using the manual dials here. This is particularly good for portraits, whereby you might get an accurate image, but just a little bit of warmth can be quite flattering. But in this case, we're going to stick to our sort of normal, natural looking white balance. That being said, it looks a little bit cool. So more or less as it was out of camera, the camera did a great job getting the white balance correct in the first place. So with white balance complete, it is on to step 3, which is exposure. Now the thing when we're doing exposure is as we sort of brighten the image and we pull it back, if you have a look at the green or the red of the bird, you can see that the color palette itself is shifting. It's becoming more and less saturated. And this is going to influence the settings we used, particularly when it comes to contrast. So to avoid that sort of influence, we're going to switch our image over to black and white. Now the image is pretty well exposed. I would say that the sort of dark areas are a little bit under the bird itself. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pull it back ever so slightly. We're going to sort of pull in the highlights a bit, which isn't doing an awful lot. We're going to push the shadows up, which should brighten up our bird a little bit. So the next thing we're going to do is a tone curve. So with Lightroom, we have this nifty little option here. So we can do a targeted adjustment. And how this works is that instead of pulling the tone curve ourselves, we're simply going to click on the area that we wish to sort of manipulate. And we're going to pull our mouse right to brighten that point. And we're going to sort of pull it down to darken. Now we can do this over and over again. So for example, I've just done the bird here. We can do this green here and then sort of pull it up a bit. And then we can sort of do a little bit here too. Now personally, this is pretty good, but I do like to do it the old-fashioned way. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to reset all channels, and I'm going to do it manually simply by putting a point here for midtones, point here for highlights, and a point here for the shadows. And then this, in my opinion, just gives us a little bit more precision, as I can move the tone around and I can get it just as I want it. As you can see, because we're in the black and white mode, we're basically working purely with luminosity, as in light. We have no color on the image to sort of throw us off and influence the decisions that we're making. So that's looking pretty good. This is sort of how it looked before and now, so we've got a bit more punch. And now we're going to switch it back to colour. So already you can see the image is looking quite different, not just from a contrast point of view, but from a colour point of view. If you look at your keyboard, you can see where your enter key is. If you hit the backslash above there, that will give you a quick way of bouncing from the original out of camera image and your edited photo. Now that concludes step 3, light. Next is colour. So with the colour, we simply want to make corrections to the colour post exposure and contrast, but we also have the ability to sort of do creative things. So once again, I'm going to go for targeted adjustments, and I actually do like targeted adjustments for working in colour. So this green is a bit much. Down here we have 3 options. We have the hue, saturation and luminance. So saturation is good, and I'm simply going to dial that back a little bit. I want to basically reduce the background's presence. By doing that, I still have the sense of place for the bird, but the background isn't distracting. The bird will be more prominent, giving us a little bit more of a 3D effect. I also think it looks really good if we sort of brown the green up, almost giving it an autumn look. This is purely a matter of preference. You might like the green, but for my sake, I'm going to go for a sort of autumn look. Yeah, autumn look. We can also affect the luminance, which is to say the brightness. And you can see that's had quite an impact. Now, if we look at the original image, it's looking like this. And already by step 4, the image is looking like this. Now we can repeat the color. So, you know, we can do more than one. So for example, perhaps you want the red to be a bit different. We can brighten it up. We can sort of desaturate it a bit if needs be. You know, we won't change the hue. We want accuracy on the bird. But overall, I'm happy with that, and that will do for colour. So on to step 5, which is local adjustments and masking. So Lightroom has automatic subject masking. Basically just click on subject, sky and background, and that will take care of that. However, you don't really need a lesson on how to sort of click a single option. So we'll do it the old-fashioned way, and we're going to do a radial gradient. So I'm going to draw this on, and the idea is to cover the bird. We've got 2 circles here. One is feathered. So we've got the middle circle, which is sort of the masking, and the feather, and we can adjust that. So, and that's looking pretty good. So if we pull this, we can narrow the radial gradient. We don't want to be too brutal. We want a bit of feathering, I should say. And all I'm going to do here is boost the exposure. And that has the effect of brightening up the bird without brightening up the entire image. Now, nice little trick here. I'm going to go to these 3 dots here, and I'm going to go to duplicate and invert mask. So the same mask again, but backwards. And now I'm going to darken. So again, we're diminishing the background by reducing the exposure, while brightening the exposure around the bird. And as you can see, that's had quite an effect. If we take away the masking again, this is sort of before the mask, and then this is after. This is the photo as it came out the camera, and this is with all of our adjustments. But we're not quite done with masking yet. We're going to do a new mask. And this time, we're just going to do a simple brush mask. So we can use our mouse wheel to alter the size of our brush. We can also use the O key if we would like to see our overlay or not. I do. So we're going to just sort of paint this branch. Now our objective here is again all about sort of creating layers within the image. You can sort of broadly say that our image has two layers. We have the foreground with the bird and the branch, and then we have the background. Now I've already done quite a lot to sort of diminish the background. So what we're going to do here is just make this foreground sort of hit a little bit more. So with that done, I'm going to sort of zoom in. I'm going to hold space and then press my left mouse button. That's given us a nice view. And then I'm going to go to effects and I'm going to boost the clarity. You can also have a play with the texture option. And if we sort of remove the mask, you can kind of see the difference, the sort of extra information we're pulling from that branch. You know what? So there's before, there's after, and we'll zoom out and see if we can see the effect from here. So that's how the branch looks now, and that's how it looked like before. Now we're going to do a similar thing. New mask, brush, make the brush big, and we're going to do the bird. Again, my objective is to add a little bit of clarity to the bird while preserving the background. I don't want the background to have any clarity adjustment whatsoever. Now, we don't have to be super accurate here. You know, we don't want to be sort of completely sloppy. But it's really not going to matter. No one's going to see if you sort of go over the edges of the bird a little bit. Right, and then we will do our clarity. Now this is having a very strong effect, so I don't want to overdo this. It's having a very strong effect. Let's get texture back. You can restore any adjustment, double click, and it will sort of center it back to 0. But I think that is probably as much as I'm going to do this time. And that concludes this step. So on to step 6, which is stylization. Now there's a few different things we can do. We can apply a split tone, for example. But on this particular image, what I think might look pretty good is just a bit of lens blur. Now we're getting decent lens blur as it is, but we can actually use software to increase it just a little bit more. So let's see how good it looks. Looks pretty good. We can make it more severe. That's starting to look a bit sort of cardboard cutout. But that looks okay. We can do a bokeh boost. Let's have a look at that. That's looking pretty good. No need to do anything else. And that completes step 6, stylization, and brings us to our final step, which is sharpening and noise reduction. Now, when we're going to do sharpening, we're going to hold the control key down and we're going to drag our mouse over the area that we want to pay most attention to. As you can see, this particular image is quite noisy. It was taken at ISO 2500 with a micro 4/3, and we have boosted the brightness over and over and over. So let's see how Lightroom's AI Denoise handles this one. And it handled pretty good. I think I'm going to wind it back a little bit, And then I'm going to add a little bit of sharpening. And add a bit more noise reduction as well. Add a bit more noise reduction. A little bit of noise is all right in my book because we're looking at it super close at the moment. But if we look 100%, it's looking pretty good. From a distance, it's looking great. So just to remind us how far we've come, this is the image we started for. Are you ready? There is our original. And this is the image that we have now. So I hope you found that tutorial useful, and remember, this is simply a framework. You get to insert your own creative choices within it. If you would like to learn more about Lightroom or indeed any other photography software, remember to drop by Silent Peak and also the Silent Peak store. Here you will find the latest pricing on many different photo editing applications, along with free trials and exclusive promo codes. If you like this tutorial, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. And of course, let me know if there is any other Lightroom tutorials you would like to see. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Richard from Silent Peak, and I wish you a good day. Bye-bye.